had sort of different expectations, but maybe a female input might have added another element to it. So it was all kind of still exciting.
If we don't get to him before that grave is filmed, we'll...
Film the grave, will you?
Film the grave!
Film the grave, man.
They were quite mischievous, the cast, amongst themselves, and mischievous to each other, which is always great fun because you sort of can use that energy.
We got on with her very well. I mean, I think it is a hugely difficult show to make, and she was quite new to the business at that time.
It's very odd when you watch a series that you haven't yet directed. You don't really pick up much at all. It's only when you get onto the studio floor that you realise what a monster it is.
To suddenly come in there and have to do a job, hit your marks first time, hit the ground running, as they say, was going to be quite tough,
By the time I got there, they knew their characters so well. So I had no excuse, really.
Every show in Red Dwarf, and Series 5 had quite a few of them, things like Demons and Angels, for example, were very complex shows,
Rob and Doug were, as I said before, very keen to make it bigger, better, more glamorous, more exciting, bigger explosions, better visual effects, more complicated split screens, more exotic locations, more fantastic costumes. And they really wanted feature film within a sitcom formula, which is difficult because the time constraints are enormous and you have to shoot in front of an audience, multi-camera.
Everyone involved in that show has always said this is the hard one to do. A lot of the crew had worked on other sitcoms, had worked on other shows.
What tends to happen is that a lot of the imagery we'll never ever know, and no one will ever know until the post-production.
To get your head round even a simple Red Dwarf show, even a straightforward, Red Dwarf, like Marooned, for example, was a straightforward, even getting your head into that, some of the concepts, some of the characters, the whole thing is always going to be difficult. And, I don't think it's any reflection of her ability as a director at all.
And something that we just didn't realise at the time was that the science fiction stories that were kind of complex, she would have a very, very hard time explaining the stories to the cast and to the ensemble crew. And of course, that's absolutely key. And it's almost like having to speak in a language and when you don't know the language.
I didn't have a history of either Red Dwarf or science fiction as a genre as such. I think I'm right in saying that Rob and Doug knew each other from childhood. And they used to read science fiction books, go to every science fiction film.
Revenge of the Mutant Splat Gore Monster. Die screaming with sharp things in your head.
So they had a whole library, an encyclopedic idea of, the whole of science fiction up until then, which I didn't have and couldn't share. And they were very sweet because they told me certain films that I should watch. And they used to go through certain favourite scenes of theirs and say, why did this work and why did that not work? And they were as helpful as they could have been, but I could never catch up.
In retrospect, what really should have happened was someone who should have put her arm around her. And I tried to, but she wanted to be very independent. And really, we should have got a VisFX supervisor and gone, look, here's your VisFX supervisor. He'll show you exactly what you need to do. This shot is a clean plate shot. Second shot, you need this. Third shot, you need that. And then you just say to the cast, I'm not interested in that techno side. I just want to work with you guys, get the best comedy performances. And that would have worked really well.
I remember when we were filming Terraform, actually. And Crichton's crash landed and all that, and I'm coming here to rescue. And Juliet had the camera at his stomach, and it was Crichton's POV, and I kept saying, well, no, it's his POV. And she goes, well, she kept putting the camera in his stomach. I said, no, it's his POV. It turned out that Juliet didn't know what POV meant. For those not in the know of Tullyland, it's point of view. And as a director, we were like, whoa.
The biggest problem I had with Red Dwarf is that I actually didn't direct series 1, 2, 3, and 4, which Ed Bye did brilliantly. And, Ed and Rob and Doug, and in fact the whole of the Red Dwarf team was a very close-knit, streamlined, efficient package. And if you take the director away after 4 years and try and plug in a new one, it's not easy for anyone concerned.
And I think she felt like it was just pushing this great weight up a hill. And so I think she was relieved when the call came.
As far as we knew, we worked on the shows with her,